Zimbabwe cash crisis worse.
Talking about Venezuela once again.
Systemic important banks. They removed the one factor you do this thing here called monetary awareness. Hey there, hope all is well. Back here today with some RTD news updates. And as you can tell in today's title, we're going to be talking about how Turkey is repatriating their gold in order to ditch the dollar. But more importantly, what I wanted to point out is this quote that's above my shoulders here. President Erdogan of Turkey made a statement, and I think it's very important and very telling of where we're at now and where we're heading in regards to gold being considered a currency again. So he's quoted as saying, "Why do we make all loans in dollars? Let us use another currency. I suggest that the loans should be made based on gold." So in that statement, real important to notice how he refers to gold as a currency. So over the last several decades, the financial markets would have you to believe that gold is just a normal commodity. It's not really money, nevertheless a currency. So the fact here, we have a president referring to the idea of not using dollars anymore in exchange for a different currency in the form of gold. So before I dive into today's articles, as always, if you're new to Rethinking the Dollar, I want to encourage you to visit me on YouTube and subscribe. Click the notification tab to be informed of future news updates as well as live streams. And if you have not as of yet, I want to encourage you to follow me over on Twitter, where I post articles throughout the day on monetary matters such as the one we're talking about now. And more important, I want you to visit the RTD University page, where I put together all my prior interviews dealing with monetary matters as well as the importance of understanding gold as a currency as well as a storage of value throughout time. So let's get into the very first article. So here we have an article here from RT. It says, Turkey repatriates gold from the U.S. in bid to ditch the dollar. So this came out as this past Friday. And so as always, I'll thumb through a little bit, give you something to read, and then share my thoughts at the end. But it says Ankara has decided to bring back all its gold stored in the U.S. Federal Reserve, according to Turkish media. In recent years, Turkey's repatriated 220 tons of gold from abroad, and 28.7 tons was brought back from the U.S. last year. It says Turkey's gold reserves are estimated at 564 tons and are worth 20 billion, Turkish newspaper reported. This makes Ankara the 11th largest gold holder behind the Netherlands and ahead of India. The reports come at a time when Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has taken a tough stance against the U.S. currency. This week, he's criticized the dollar loan, said that the international loans should be given in gold instead. He's quoted as saying, "Why do we make loans in dollars? Let us use another currency. I suggest the loans should be made in gold," Erdogan said in a speech at the Global Entrepreneurship Congress in Istanbul. Says, "With the dollar, the world is always under exchange rate pressure. We should save states and nations from the exchange rate pressure. Gold has never been a tool of oppression throughout history." So here we have the idea of a president stating his claims on the idea of the dollar not being a good way of doing business anymore, hinting at oppression, how the United States abuses their privilege and oppress other nations with the exchange rates, as well as calling people currency manipulators, as well as basically just flooding the world with inflationary type of dollars. So now we have a person that's saying it's time to get rid of that and go back to what should be a global currency in the form of gold. It says Turkey is among several countries which has been moving gold from the U.S. It says the wave began in 2012 when Venezuela announced it was repatriating 160 tons of gold, valued at around $9 billion. It says Germany's Bundesbank then demanded 300 tons, with the Fed saying it would take 7 years to do so. Then it's quoted saying here, the central bank started the repatriation already a few years ago, meaning before we had Brexit, Catalonia, Trump, AFD, quoted Claudio Grass of Precious Metals Advisory of Switzerland, says according to him, the world is becoming less centralized. He's quoted saying, if we follow this trend, it should be obvious that the next step should be an even bigger breakup of smaller units than the nation state. With such geopolitical fragmentation comes all the decentralization of power. So here we have the idea that a president, Erdogan, mentioned about the dollar not necessarily being a great tool anymore, so he's repatriating his gold as well as several other countries. So that leads me to believe that if governments are repatriating their gold, citizens should definitely be redeeming some of those Federal Reserve notes for gold, since you all can see the idea that people are moving away from the dollar by ditching the dollar, de-dollarizing their economies, all in expectation for one day when the dollar is no longer the reserve currency of the world. So at that point, people will have other alternatives such as gold and of course silver in their possession. And so just something to think about. I thought I would share this article with you guys, give you something to think about over this weekend. Other than that, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. And other than that, enjoy the rest of your day.
It's the next recession.
Recession will be.
Will be a recession.
We're going to hit a recession.
The date of the next recession.
A U.S.-only recession typically lasts 8 to 10 months, but a lot of things about this particular one have not been typical. So
A crash is coming now, whether it's 6 months from now, 12 months, 36 months, no one knows.
I go to bed every night, I dream of another recession. If you know what to do, if you have the right plan to set up, you can make a lot of money from this.
you.